Good morning, y'all. I've been on some pretty solid patterns. Having a fishing spot and a honey hole and having a bunch of them is one step, but when do you fish it according to the tides? So I've been putting together a lot of research. I've been spending a lot of time studying the tides in relation to when I'm catching fish in certain areas. I do appreciate everybody that has booked trips with me. All of my customers have been really awesome people, really great people to fish with, and every morning has been a really good morning, and I have enjoyed fishing with everybody. So your first step on following the tides, go to Google, or there's a link down below in the description, or you can Google search NOAA tides and currents. So now you will click on your state wherever you fish at. We fish South Texas, and it is very important to pick a tide buoy that is closest to the area that you fish. So we fish a lot of Aransas Pass, we fish Ingleside, we fish Rockport, a little bit of Portland sometimes. So click whichever tide buoy is closest to where you're gonna fish, and the red and yellow tide buoys are the ones you need to click on. You'll click on more data and water levels. So let's say you did really good on a certain date. You got this fishing spot and you slammed them, and now maybe that spot turned off. Well, you should know what the tides were doing whenever you slammed those fish. So you can change your date. You can go back and change the date to whatever date you want to. Let's just say the 13th. And I always put it for 2 days. So I'll do 13th and August 14th. Change your time zone to local standard time and hit plot. This will show you what the tides did that day. The red line is what actually happened, what was read at the tide buoy, and the blue line is what was predicted. So all of your fishing apps are going to show you the predictions, but NOAA will tell you what actually happened, and that gives you a better reading on your tide levels. Sometimes the tides are running a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower than predicted. This year they've been running just a little bit higher, so most of the time. So you can scroll your mouse over it and it will show you what time these tides are moving. So right here they start dropping out really good right at noon, and they drop out pretty hard all the way until in the evening time. So if you did real good on this outgoing tide, you kind of need to know which time of the tide you did good. That way you know how much current is moving based on the chart here. So when your tides are moving up and down pretty dang steep like this, you got a good moving tide. And you can tell it went from 0.75 above zero, and they went all the way out to negative 0.1. So you're talking about almost a foot, about let's just call it 0.7. For us, where we fish at, that's it's a pretty good moving tide. Anything a half a foot to 1 foot is some pretty good current for the stuff that we fish quite a bit over here. So I know other areas like Florida and north of Florida, you got some pretty crazy tides over there. But it'll be similar. You should know when you caught those fish in relation to the tides. So if you did real good on an outgoing tide, you need to know, was it the start of the outgoing tide that you did real good in your spot, or was it somewhere in the middle, or was it somewhere towards the very end of the outgoing tide? Same thing for an incoming tide as well. And start marking these things down, start writing them down, that I did good in, a certain spot. This will take a lot of time and work on your part. It will take time and work, for me still. I'm still learning some of these patterns, and I think that if I keep going like I'm going, I'll remain pretty dang consistent. There'll always be, a few tough days here and there. Our tougher days are when the tides are slack. Usually, I have a few slack tide spots that have been producing, but when those tides are right up in here, this is when there's not much current moving, and everything inshore mostly is related to current. As far as the fish feeding, it flushes bait through certain areas and it just turns everything on when the current's moving. So when the tides are slack, most of the time those are your tougher times to fish. So you can fish during the good tidal movements and bypass some of those slack times. Then you also have to worry about, the weather. Do you want to go fish during some good weather, even though the tides might be a little bit slack? Or do you want to go out there later in the day when it might be really windy, but you have a good moving tide? So you have to kind of pick what you want to do. If it's going to be a slack tide, I think live bait is a better option. Another thing you can do, if you know you got a slack tide and you want to go fish during that time, you can always go fish somewhere closer to the inlets where the tide might not be slack. You'll have to study, the different tide buoys, and sometimes I make a run because there's a slack tide, and I'll make a run closer to, the inlets, somewhere closer to the inlets, because the tides are moving better over there on a certain day. So you can beat the tides a little bit, you can go fish something different, knowing that your good stuff that you usually like to fish might not produce because of a slack tide. So this is a website. It's not going to be on the Play Store. It's not a app. You can use your fishing apps as well. The only thing I really use the fishing apps for are the major and minor feeding periods. The tides are decent on a fishing app, but they don't give you what the tide level is actually reading. NOAA will give you the tide level, what's really happening, which is the red line. And on this particular tide buoy, we're reading 0.6 feet above what was predicted. So we have, a little bit higher tides than what was predicted. And this comes in handy for fishing things like back lakes, fishing, knowing if those fish are going to be close to the mangroves versus on a lower tide, they'll be out away from it a little bit on the drop-offs. And getting a game plan together before you go out there, and getting, some strategies, and knowing, what should be good, will take away a lot of the guesswork for you. Now that you have written down all of your spots, when you did good, was it an incoming tide? Was it the beginning, the middle, or the end of it? You keep going to your next spot and you keep researching, when are my spots good and when do I fish them? And this will take out a ton of guesswork. In the end, you will still probably need to do a little bit of spot jumping if something's not producing, but keep paying attention to when your spots are being productive, and then you duplicate that. You duplicate it for in the future, and you check your tides. You got a good incoming tide at a certain time, and that's when you caught them there before. That's the first spot you go hit. I do have openings in September for trips. If y'all want to book a trip, my website is cleanfunfishing.com. I hope some of the tips were helpful. Thanks for watching, and tight lines. I don't know if we'll top that, man.
I was gonna say
that's a hell of a trout.
That is. I've been fishing for a lot of years, and I've never even come close to that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be a part of it, man.
Awesome. I do appreciate that.
Dang it, dude.
Gosh.
Y'all reel them in for a second. It's a redfish school. Y'all see the tails coming up almost to the bank? And the goal is to cast a little bit to the side of them, not right on top of them.
Oh man, that's a lot.
You see?
See all their toes.
Yeah, I'll tell you when to cast. I'm gonna get y'all a little closer to where we can reach it. Yeah. Reel it, reel it, reel it, reel it, reel it. There you go. Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. Nice.
That's far enough. Don't reel it further.
God, look, y'all.
Nice red. Nice redfish.
Woo! Look at that, baby.
I am. I'm very patient. You have to be. All right.
Hey! Woo!
It's just as good as live bait. That's a nice fish. Dang it! Doubled up. Nah, he's not big. 18. That's a good trout right here too. Grab this. In that cooler. Well, they're making us work good today. We can keep one more. There you go, Doug. Get one right before the shit comes. Oh, boy. Good job, man. That hole and then go to the right. Yeah, he's a good red. Nice trout, man. And the grips are right there if you want to use them. You gotta make spots.
Oh, man.
Get in that net, boy.
Look at that. Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, man. 2 trout in the net.
Look at that.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
Man, it's beautiful. I love those clouds. You ain't never caught that many in a row? Oh, we just got started, man. There you go. Try to pull him in this way. Nice fish. Try to pull you right to the left. There you go. There you go. Fish fry. You go. Oh, you caught him a little further out. Y'all keeping me busy. I like it. Nice trout. Oh, shit. Yeah, real nice.
Oh, keeper, baby.
Might make it. It might make it. He gonna make it. He gonna make it. They wearing you out.